Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now? I've just been chit chatting and nobody's been hearing me. Okay, let me know, Tracy. Tracy, thank you for letting me know that there was no sound. I'm sure everybody else was quite confused. I will start my spiel over again. Um, that's the joys of. Okay, Beth says you can hear me. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. The joy of technology, like we always just apologize in advance for whatever may go wrong because something's going to go wrong all the time with technology. But what I was saying was, welcome. I'm Casey Hope with Pizzazz. And this week, our lettering club is open. We do not open our lettering club all the time, it's only open a few times a year. And this week is one of those times. Tracy says there is an echo. Is there still? Because I think it was for a second and I thought I took care of it. But this is one of the times that it's open. So every day now through Thursday at 11:30, I'm going to be right here just showing you some different stuff. So sometimes it'll be today, it's going to be some of our favorite lettering pens, and I'll show you all of these again. So some of our favorite lettering pens and kind of what you can do with it. Tomorrow, I'm going to show you kind of what it looks like if you are part of our club. We send you Happy Mail every single month. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. Some of our past boxes, going to show you what our members are doing. But every day at 11:30, it's a chance for you just to kind of get a peek into the club. And then Thursday is our last day to be able to join. So if you've got questions, let us know. But this morning, I want to go through some of our favorite lettering pens. We get the question all the time of like, what pens do I need to buy? Let me tell you that there is no like one ultimate, you have to have this pen. There's not one of those. Okay. There's so many. Every time we're going to the store, we're finding new pens that we love. But I am just going to go through some of the ones that are our favorite, just so you can kind of start kind of getting an idea of, hey, I've got that around my house. I can totally use that. You don't have to have fancy supplies, but it is sometimes fun to find those fancy pens and to play with them. So I'm going to try this again. I'm going to remove myself from the video, lower the camera again, and let's give this another try. All right. All right. I'm sorry. I've got coughing a lot this morning. All right. So what we were saying first is just a general Sharpie. Y'all, there is so much fun that you can have just with a Sharpie. Sharpies write on canvas, they write on wood, they write on Bristol board, on paper, they write on everything, and you probably have them in your junk drawer. Do you see how I just wrote the word Sharpie? I wouldn't call this anything super fancy, but I did kind of play around with font. Do you see how I have a little bit of cursive in there with the A and the R? And I got a little bit of a print in there with PIE. So I can play with my font with a Sharpie. I'm not having to do any thickening of the downstroke or anything. I can just have fun playing around with font with a Sharpie. Also, whenever you are doing like watercolor pieces, sometimes it's nice to have, you want something that's not going to bleed when the water touches it. So this Sharpie is perfect for that because it's permanent. It's not going to bleed. Another kind of common tool is a Crayola. We love these Crayola markers. All right, so with Crayola, what's really cool, let's just go ahead and write Crayola first. So all right, so what's really cool about the Crayola markers is it the tip on it. It's got the skinny tip, which means you can have skinny lines. Like if I wanted to have like little skinny accents, I can have skinny lines. But I can also kind of use the side of it to have fat lines. Do you see that? I have two different thicknesses of lines within one marker. Also, you could, if you're doing the faux calligraphy style, let's say, I'm trying to think of a word. Let's say I'll just do the word yay. Okay. So I'm going to write it kind of just regular to begin with. Okay. So you can write the word yay kind of regular. But then when you are going to, like, if you want to thicken your downstrokes with a Sharpie, you can go thick and then thin coming up. Thick, thin. You'll see this with a lot of brush strokes, brush pens. You can get this thick and thin, but Sharpies are not an expensive one, and you can still get that thin, thick, kind of a variation of your line. Okay, so Sharpie's another great one. I'm sorry, Crayola is another great one that you probably have laying around your house. Now let's go into another one that's also got the brush pen. Now the Crayola, it looks like this, it's a firm kind of triangle tip. A lot of the brush pens don't look quite like that. So this is it's a little smaller for one, but it is going to give you that same kind of thin, thick that you get with a Crayola. But look how much smaller it is. This is a Pitt pen, Pitt. It's made by Faber-Castell. They come usually in bundles. We do sell these on our website. But one kind of fun little something about this that we can't say is the same for Crayola or Sharpie is that it is this Indian ink that does not bleed through. So what does that mean? That means if I am doing this like in Bible journaling or something, it's not going to bleed through the page. That's something really a good benefit that some things will bleed through. Also, lots of different colors, and it just has this kind of smaller nib to where I can write. If I've got a smaller space, I might want to use these Pitt pens. All right, I'm going to go to a bigger. This is made by Tombow. Now, Tombow is a brand, and we're going to kind of feature a couple of their pens today. So this is going to be the dual brush pen, and this one is the Fudenosuke pen. All right, so the dual brush, it's got two ends. So one end, so I'm just going to put Tombow. I'm going to use the other end for the dual brush. Okay, so it's got two ends that are very dramatic, different sizes. Okay, now with this Tombow, it also, look at the nib on it, it's a lot bigger than the Pitt pen that you saw here, but you can get the same effect with thin, thick, thin, thick, thin, thick. And then also what this does really well is you can blend two colors. If you've got the right kind of paper, these Tombow markers, you can blend colors with it really pretty. Both with the Tombow and the Crayola, if you were to use them on watercolor paper and then add water to them, they turn into watercolor. So it's almost like they're both watercolor pens too. So it's not just fun for lettering, but really fun for doing painting too. That is not true for the Sharpie. It's not true for the Pitt pen. But for the Tombow dual brush pen and the Crayola, when used on watercolor paper, it will turn into watercolor. The next one's another Tombow pen, but it is, that word is going to be always hard to say, to read, to write. Fudenosuke is what I'm thinking. This is a water-based, and they make it in a soft tip and a hard tip, but look how small it is. It still gets the thin and thick, but it's just so much smaller. So again, if you are doing Bible journaling, if you are doing note cards, sometimes in a note card, you want to write something pretty, but with something as big as the dual brush or the Crayola, it's going to be too fat. So this is great. Let's see if I can, okay, so this is also the Tombow, just the Fudenosuke. So I'm going to show you one thing that's really kind of fun about this is it comes in lots of different colors. So this one's the hard tip. The one I just did was a soft tip. This one's going to be a hard tip, but it's this same exact pen other than the hard and the soft. But I'm just going to write the word. Okay, so again, these are great for Bible journaling, great for cards. Just really, really nice pens there. And then one last one that we cannot, I'll just put these over here. They're kind of the same thing, that we cannot close without chatting about is going to be our Posca pen. Now, Posca pens, they do not have the thins and the thicks that you see with a lot of our lettering pens. Okay. Kind of like Sharpie just has the one, it doesn't have the thick or the thin. You can go back and add thicks and thins if you wanted to. But Posca is the same way. So it doesn't have any special nib on it. But what's so great about this is all the different surfaces. So this is a paint pen. But man, the different surfaces that you can write on is just so fun. It's a paint pen that just has a lot of good coverage, lots of different colors, lots of different sizes as far as the nib goes. You can do smaller or bigger than what this just is. It writes on canvas, on wood, on glass, so many different surfaces. We actually just did a lesson with our kids in our kids club and our studio classes. We did art lessons the whole time, not lettering lessons, but art lessons with these pens. They would draw something on a wood board and then paint it with the pens. And it just, they work really nice for painting on wood as well, just with paint pens. So these are just a few of our favorite pens. I just wanted to kind of show you